setting the scene for a story about the crucifixion of Christ, from the Last Supper to the resurrection, lays the groundwork for emotional engagement and historical context. This phase entails creating a vivid backdrop, both visually and thematically, that immerses the audience in the narrative's time and place. Establishing the environment of Jerusalem during Passover, bustling with pilgrims, Roman soldiers maintaining order, the looming presence of religious and political tension is crucial to understanding the gravity of the events that unfold. The significance of setting the scene is profound. It not only grounds the audience in the historical period, but also emphasizes the cultural, religious, and political climate that influenced the events surrounding Christ's crucifixion. For example, depicting the intimacy and solemnity of the Last Supper highlights the deep bond between Christ and his disciples, foreshadowing the trials they will soon face. Another example is the portrayal of Gethsemane, where Jesus prays and wrestles with his impending fate, offering a glimpse into his humanity and the emotional weight of his sacrifice. Real-world applications of setting an effective scene are abundantly seen in successful biblical adaptations in film and theater. Productions like The Passion of the Christ or Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar use settings that visibly capture the tension of impending betrayal, the sorrow of abandonment, and the hope of redemption. These works demonstrate the power of establishing a scene to evoke specific emotions and reactions from audiences, drawing them deeper into the narrative. Opinions supporting the necessity of a well-set scene often reference its ability to enhance the audience's comprehension and emotional involvement. Directors and playwrights argue that a well-crafted setting serves as another character, influencing and interacting with the main characters, thereby adding depth to the story. However, challenges arise when interpreting such a significant religious event. Diverse theological perspectives and historical inaccuracies can lead to controversy. Some may oppose certain interpretations, seeing them as straying from traditional beliefs or lacking reverence. Balancing historical context with religious sentiment requires careful consideration and respect for differing viewpoints. Connecting this to the broader narrative, the introductory scene influences how the audience perceives subsequent events from Jesus' arrest and trial to his crucifixion and ultimate resurrection. By starting with a strong foundation, the tale of Christ's final days becomes more poignant, ensuring that each moment resonates with its intended impact and theological significance. As the Last Supper, a pivotal event in Christian theology, marks the final meal Jesus shared with his disciples before his arrest and crucifixion. This gathering is described in the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, each offering unique details but collectively emphasizing the supper's profound significance. At this meal, Jesus institutes the Eucharist or Holy Communion, where he breaks bread and shares wine, symbolizing his body and blood, foretelling his imminent sacrifice. The Last Supper is not merely a meal. It symbolizes Jesus' impending death, his unity with his disciples, and the new covenant between God and humanity. The event is crucial within the crucifixion narrative as it highlights both the intimate bond and the looming betrayal among Jesus' closest followers. During the supper, Jesus predicts Peter's denial and Judas Iscariot's betrayal, setting the stage for the subsequent events leading to his crucifixion. Judas's betrayal is a critical act that leads directly to Jesus' arrest, reflecting human frailty and the thematic duality of loyalty and treachery. Peter's denial, on the other hand, showcases the struggle between faith and fear, a recurring theme in the crucifixion story. In contemporary Christian practice, the Last Supper is commemorated through the ritual of communion, symbolizing Jesus' sacrifice and the promise of salvation. This sacrament serves as a reminder of unity and forgiveness, teachings central to Christianity. Additionally, events and artworks depicting the Last Supper, such as Leonardo da Vinci's famous fresco, invite continuing reflection on its theological and human dimensions. While revered within Christianity, the Last Supper has its share of controversies and alternative interpretations. Scholarly debates often question the historical accuracy of gospel accounts and the symbolism of the meal. Some argue that the Eucharist was instituted later by early Christians rather than by Jesus himself. The role of Judas Iscariot, seen by some as a tragic figure fulfilling divine prophecy rather than simply a traitor, presents further complexity. The Last Supper directly influences the subsequent narrative of Jesus' betrayal, trial, and crucifixion, serving as the emotional and theological bridge between Jesus' ministry and the Passion. Its themes of sacrifice, loyalty, and betrayal resonate throughout the crucifixion story, providing depth and context to Jesus' final hours. As such, the Last Supper remains a cornerstone of Christian faith, embodying the hope of redemption and the enduring impact of Jesus' teachings. The arrest and trials, legal and political dynamics encapsulates the complex interplay of legal and political forces during the events leading to the crucifixion of Christ. This involves understanding the multifaceted proceedings from Jesus' arrest in the Garden of Gethsemane to his trials before Jewish and Roman authorities, highlighting the intersection of religious law, political expediency, and human frailty. The significance of this aspect lies in its exploration of the mechanisms that led to a pivotal moment in Christian theology: the crucifixion. The trials demonstrate how legal procedures can be influenced by political pressures and societal unrest. They reflect a facade of legality shrouded in a web of political maneuvering and expedient decision-making. This is crucial in understanding the historical and theological context in which Jesus was condemned, thereby deepening the narrative of sacrifice and redemption central to Christian belief. One pertinent example is the trial before the Sanhedrin, the Jewish council, which was held at night, thereby violating Jewish legal protocols. This underscores the urgency and irregularity in handling Jesus' case. Another example is Jesus' trial before Pontius Pilate. Although Pilate found no fault in Jesus, political pressures, including the fear of insurrection and the demands of the Jewish leaders, influenced his decision to authorize the crucifixion. These instances illustrate the tension between justice and politics. Various scholars and commentators have explored this dichotomy. Some view the trials as a miscarriage of justice, reflecting the corruptibility of legal systems when influenced by politics. Others see them as necessary events in the divine plan for salvation, underscoring the idea that human systems could not thwart divine purpose. These differing viewpoints enrich the narrative by inviting audiences to ponder deeper questions of justice, morality, and divine will. However, the legal and political dynamics of these events are fraught with challenges and controversies. The historical accuracy of the gospel accounts is debated, with critics questioning the portrayal of Jewish and Roman authorities. This raises discussions on historical bias and theological interpretation. Additionally, the role of Roman authority and its perceived leniency contrast with the rigid application of local laws, highlighting the complexities of colonial governance. This exploration of legal and political dynamics connects to the broader narrative of Jesus' passion by illustrating the worldly forces at odds with divine purpose. It sets the stage for the eventual crucifixion, portraying it not merely as a theological event, but as a culmination of human drama and existential conflict, thus enriching the audience's understanding of this cornerstone event in Christian faith. The path to crucifixion. The journey to Golgotha signifies the physical and spiritual journey Jesus Christ undertook on his way to crucifixion. This path is more than just a travel from one point to another. It represents the culmination of events leading up to Jesus' death, laden with religious, historical, and theological significance. This journey underscores the concept of sacrifice and redemption central to Christian theology. It reflects Jesus' willingness to suffer for humanity's sins, a profound act of love and obedience to the divine plan. The path to Golgotha is an archetype of endurance and resilience, encapsulating the struggle against human injustice and spiritual darkness, which in itself is a pivotal moment in the narrative of the Passion of Christ. A historical example illustrating this point is the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem, a route believed to be the actual path Jesus walked. It is commemorated by millions of pilgrims annually, demonstrating its continued religious and cultural relevance. Another example can be found in various artistic representations such as Mel Gibson's film The Passion of the Christ, which vividly portrays the suffering and perseverance of Jesus on this journey, driving home the emotional and spiritual weight of these events to audiences worldwide. Supporters of the narrative emphasize Jesus' path to crucifixion as an essential aspect of Christian faith, highlighting the profound lessons of sacrifice, love, and forgiveness it imparts. However, there are challenges and controversies. Some historians and theologians question the historical accuracy of specific details concerning Jesus' path. Additionally, differences in portrayal between various Christian denominations can lead to theological disagreements. Despite these challenges, the journey to Golgotha remains integral to the story of Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. It ties seamlessly into other elements of the narrative, such as the Last Supper and the resurrection, forming a cohesive timeline of events that underscore the fulfillment of prophecy and the concept of salvation. It influences the understanding of Jesus' mission and suffering, portraying his journey not just as a route to death, but as a path to the ultimate triumph over sin and death, resonating across religious teachings and cultural depictions throughout history. The path to crucifixion is thus a narrative bridge connecting human suffering with divine love, forming the cornerstone of Christian belief and spiritual reflection.